everyone, Angela here. Life can be challenging. Trust me, I get it. However, I have learned we can either view the opposition or value the opportunity. Ponder on the problem or praise the potential. Focus on the situation or find the solution. Despite the current circumstances you're going through, I invite you to join me today as we embark on a grand adventure to discover the reasons why it's a good time to be you.
Here's the encourager herself, making every day a good day, Angela Henderson.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are so glad to see you today. Thank you for being with us. Turn to your neighbor and say, it's a good time to be you. And it is. Thank you so much for being with us today. Today is an amazing day. Why? Because you're in it. You were born to bring greatness to this earth. You are here to make our world a better place. You know, Maslow's theory of hierarchy shows us that there are basic human needs that we need met. And on that very lowest level is that of food and water and shelter and warmth. And when those needs are not met, it is next to impossible for a person to discover themselves and to even move further up that hierarchy, to discover their purpose, their reason for being here, and to not just survive life, but to thrive in life. Well, we have two ladies that are with us today who noticed that that need was not being met in some of their community youth. And so they decided to come together to bring their efforts to help bring resources as well as hope to some North Charleston teens who are experiencing homelessness. So we have the amazing honor of having Kathleen Love and Laura Taylor with us of Project H.O.M.E with this heartfelt, warm, and exciting interview. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you have a remarkable story with an extraordinary outcome? Well, if you do, I'd love to invite you to submit that to us at itsagoodtimetobeyou@gmail.com. We would love to review it for consideration. And who knows, you might just find yourself on our show. So enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, it's a good time to be you.
Welcome back, everyone. Now let's bring to the stage, and with a nice warm welcome of It's a Good Time to Be You, Laura Taylor and Kathleen Love of Project H.O.M.E. Come on, ladies. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. We are so glad you're here. Have a seat. Thank you so much. I have been so excited about having this interview with you all. This is an amazing project and an amazing endeavor that you ladies are a part of. And I know we've got a lot to discuss, but before we dive into that, why don't you share with us a little bit about your personal background? So Kathleen, why don't we start with you?
So I'm a native New Yorker. I have a son that's in the United States Marine Corps, Matthew.
And super fine. Yes. My favorite.
And I have two grandchildren, Addison and Connor. And so I'm recently retired in 2017 with North Charleston Police Department as a lieutenant there, and my specialty was working with children and in the schools. And when I first moved down from New York, I volunteered at the rape center, and then I started working at the rape center. And when I realized how many kids were in trouble and abused and everything, I wanted to become a police officer to help children more, right from the start, instead of the after. So as I retired, I continued my schooling, finished my PhD, and became Dr. Love. And I worked for Charleston Southern University because I wanted to give back to God in a different way through teaching criminal justice classes to new police officers.
That is so beautiful, Kathleen. What a great accomplishment. You know, you mentioned 2017, and when we kind of break those numbers down, 20 represents a time of redemption and 17 represents victory. And I really do believe that when you chose that time in your life to retire, it wasn't because you were running away from something, but you were running towards something. And it was a reward for everything that you had already done, you know, up to this point, because I'm sure it was very trying and very challenging, and we need more people like you out there. But you served and you gave of that time, and so God redeemed that for you and victoriously placed you in a new area where you are actually contributing more of your wisdom that you've gained through those experiences. So thank you for what you're doing, and we're just very honored to have you with us today. So Laura, tell us a little bit about you and about your background.
Thank you, and thanks for having us today. And obviously, mine is not as stellar as Kathy's,
you are a
but
woman
very
of
proud of
substance.
her. Very
Yes,
proud of her.
yes.
So I'm in the automotive industry for 25 years, dealer only, auto auctions, and it's not Barrett Jackson like a lot of people think, but not as glorious. But I lost my son in 2015, Matthew also, and I have two beautiful granddaughters, Madeline Grace and Annalie Hope. So I have a hope and a grace, and they absolutely get me through the day. So that's sort of what brought me back in, and without God's faith, I couldn't have got through that. So I, wanted to give back, and I knew that that was the place that I needed to be. So
Wow.
very glad to be there.
Well, you are definitely a woman of substance yourself, and so thank you for sharing that. And with you being in the line of work and the business that you are in for about 25 years, the number 25 represents a multiple of grace. And so you have definitely probably not only walked in that, but have extended a lot of grace, in your lifetime and in what you do. And 2015, it represents also that 20 as a time of redemption, but 15 represents new direction. And so, when you shared about just now the loss of your son, I'm sure life kind of took a new direction for you. And so, why don't you share with us, Laura, kind of how your paths crossed with Kathleen's?
So it was a great story, and it absolutely came along at the right time of my life. I've been involved with a lot of charitable organizations and all, and actually had a customer who, and I'm going to mention his name, Brad Wyndham, who had seen the TV show on the news about the home, that there was a need and it needed to be filled, and one of my sales reps had called me and said, he would like for us to look at this interview, and I did, and I turned it over to my marketing manager. I said, call, get in touch with these people, find out what we need to do. This sounds perfect for us. We need the help. And, we'd actually prayed about it, and we knew that this was direction, and met all of you lovely people. And
So, Kathleen, how was your involvement with this?
I was a lieutenant over the school resource officer at North Charleston, so I was up at different high schools and responded to different issues. And Mr. Wilson, the principal there, because of work, we became friends. And he said, I want to talk to you about something. I was like, oh, here we go. He's always got a project for me. So he sat me down. He said, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and I need your help. I said, okay.
All right.
And he's like, I didn't realize how many homeless kids we had just in Charleston County schools. And I'm like, this cannot be true. He's like, it's true. The thing is that people don't connect the homelessness because they are, living in cars, and they are going from friend's house to friend's house. So when people think of homelessness, they think of, in the bushes or on the street. So that's why I had no clue of how many young people didn't have home-based housing.
Wow. Well, when we come back, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to finish sharing a little bit about this relationship and how it evolved into this amazing project called Project Home. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Check out my new book on AngelaDHenderson.com and take a journey to discover the many reasons why it's a good time to be you. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. And we have with us Kathleen Love and Laura Taylor of an amazing project called Project Home. And this is a home for homeless boys in the North Charleston area. And so when we left, we were discussing a little bit about your relationships and how it evolved. And so just a little bit of a disclosure, I was also just had the honor of being a part of that connection during that time and in that season. And so we were just discussing during our break how 2015 was definitely a new direction for all of us and different things that were going on in our lives. So why don't you ladies share with us kind of about how this evolved. We all met bringing this project together, but just give us a little bit of background about the project.
So in 2015, Mr. Wilson, Kim Wilson, was the principal at Stall High School, and a teacher approached him about the homeless students in the school and gave him an article about a home that was in another state and said that we could probably do this here. And Mr. Wilson called me in and said, listen, I know you can make things happen, and I want you involved, and I want you to meet some people. And I said, okay, because you can't turn down Mr. Wilson, as you know.
No, he's amazing.
So I had the grace of and fortunate to meet these wonderful people, and Angela was one of them. And I just remember sitting there and fascinated that so many people wanted to give in this meeting, and I couldn't say no. So that was the beginning of just talking about who was going to be involved, where we were going to go with this, who were the children going to be involved in that in 2015. So it was a lot of spearheading and seeing if we can possibly do it. And we knew it would cost a lot of money, and looking for homes and stuff. And just, Angela and I would go out and actually look for homes to see if, this would be appropriate for these young men. We decided on men to live in certain areas. So we did a lot of legwork in 2015, 2016. And then I got to meet this wonderful lady. These two ladies just fascinate me. They're so wonderful. And just listening to her background and how strong she is and how much she gives to others, that she never gets the credit that she deserves, and nor do you. And I was just amazed, and just great mentors about giving. And I think that also encouraged me that I wanted to do more, and that's when I decided that I'm going to retire and do more in a different way. But you two definitely had influence on me in making sure.
Kathy, you were definitely an influence of yourself, and it was always an honor, to serve together and work together. And so, Laura, what was like going on in your heart and your mind when you were making this discovery as well, where the project was concerned, about these homeless kids?
After I watched the Live 5 News, I was in tears. I was sitting in my office watching it on my computer, and I called a couple people in that are managers at my place. And, we're constantly looking for avenues to give back in the community. And I was like, we've got to do this. And when Jason Moritz, who was my AGM at the time, got in touch with Mr. Wilson, we decided that we were going to do a fundraiser. And we started talking to our customers and got all of them involved. We came up with a neat little logo and how we did this was with sales. If I can't get it from you naturally, I'm going to get it from you one way. So that's the kind of force I have that she's talking about. That's why I don't get recognition for it. But we definitely had an impact from the very beginning, and we invited you guys all out, and it was great to see you guys, because y'all were so excited, and it got the crowd excited, and it made everybody feel good. And we actually ended up getting involved in an industry, and National Auto Auction Association industry. It was about giving, and we submitted what we had done there with the home, and Angela and I actually went to Palm Springs, and we won $25,000 that was given to the home, and kind of gave everybody a boost, I believe, and everything come along at the right time. So and the rest is history. I mean, we had stumbling blocks along the way. It was a little bit delayed with things that we had to do, but we definitely got there.
So how did you come up with the board? I mean, with an endeavor like that, there was definitely the coming together of the board. And so, Kathleen, what were some of maybe the stumbling blocks that we faced during that time?
We wanted different board members from different areas.
Yes.
So we went out and looked, and if we knew somebody that would be interested, we put it out there. And we had board members that were very interested but didn't realize how much work was involved, and there was a lot of work. And, Angela was working a full-time job and working as the president for Project H.O.M.E as a full-time. It became more and more as a full-time job. So we needed people that were all going to give back, that it wasn't one person or two. So we finally got a board that's all willing to work together and make things happen. But I want to bring back to, like, when we were looking for homes and places, it was very hard to find the right fit to get house parents that's going to feel safe and comfortable.
Yes.
We needed to know how much money we were going to get raised. And then by the grace of God, we Miss Mickey, which is Kim and Betsy's Wilson's mom donated money for the house to be built, a brand new house. She said, I want these kids to have everything new.
Yes.
I want everything to be nice in there. And she made it happen.
Yes, she
and
did.
you know, she's not giving herself enough credit. Laura has, and her organization,
Yes.
and her fundraising, have raised thousands of dollars to help us make this home happen.
And I think one of the greatest feelings was sitting at the closing after the house was built and writing a check for it being paid in full. There was not a mortgage on that house.
Not
You
a
know,
mortgage.
God was so good and so faithful with that endeavor. Well, we've got so much more to share with you, so don't go away. We're going to take a really quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. We have with us Kathleen Love, or AKA Dr. Love, and Miss Laura Taylor with us from Project Home. And we've just been really just reminiscing and sharing a lot of great experiences with Project Home. So at this point, the house has been built. Now, when did it officially open, and what was that like bringing in the first students and all?
It opened in 2017, that school year.
Okay.
We had hired house parents. We had gone out to the community and asked who wanted to be parents to this home. We interviewed and we hired our first house parents, and then we started taking applications of any students that wanted to come in, and we started that school year.
Now, why was it important to have like house parents, maybe not just a person or, you know, whatever in the home?
Well, we Christian based. We wanted to make sure that they saw both roles, a mom and a dad role, and we felt that was important because we didn't know where they were coming from, and we wanted a unity so they can see in general what happens in a home, a mom or dad going to work, or a couple, and just get the different aspects, especially that these are young men that are coming into the home, so we wanted to give a balance.
Right. So the home itself, it just wasn't a place where you just kind of bring a bunch of teenagers together and it just be a house full of teenagers, but it was actually set up as a family-based home. You know, there was no overcrowding. Everyone had their place, their space.
They did. We only had, we have a maximum of 4 young
Good.
men from
Yeah.
17 to 21 that want to finish high school. They don't have any history of law enforcement background, of getting into trouble. There is plenty of homes that will deal with young men that have been in trouble. We just wanted young men that wanted to finish high school and move on, that didn't have a home, and we wanted to be able to give them that home, a loving home, and give back to them.
Beautiful. So Laura, what was like some of the response of the community where the home was concerned?
At first, when you guys found the home, we decided that we'd build it new because you went out and looked at all these homes, and of course I was like, that's not good enough, that's not good enough. And because Mary Welch, who is Mickey, and we call it Mickey's home after her, but she wanted the best of the best. So I know when you guys went up against HOA, everybody's like, what's going on here? What are you bringing in? And when I was explaining it to some of my customers and trying to get them bought in on it, I stated it. When I was growing up, I can remember my mom coming in to myself and my brothers, you need to get up, you got to go to school, oh, we don't want to do this, oh, we don't want to do this. These are kids who want to finish this. They know they're not going to get into a better situation unless they graduate from high school and go on either to college or to some kind of technical background training. And they want to get up, so they're finding places that they sleep at coaches' houses or on benches on some of them, So when we described this to the community, they understood, it was just so heartfelt. And when we had the grand opening, we had some great people. Mayor H.O.M.E had his own story, and when we broke ground on it, and Anita Zucker and a lot of people came together and still to this day, check in to make sure how we're doing. And I know once we get back into the swing of things, all of them will still come together.
That's beautiful. I recall even like the alumni from Stahl High School that were so touched with the project and the mission behind it. We had the class of, I think it was 1965, a graduating class, and their English teacher. So, of course, you had 20 years that, okay? Yeah. And they would meet at a local restaurant on a monthly basis, and they started taking up a collection. They would literally pass the bread basket around the table, and I would get these phone calls. You want to come pick up our offering? Or, or either she would go by the school, the English teacher would. And then the class of 1970, that also just took up a gift. And then the class, I think it was of 84, that they were doing a reunion. And so they did a GoFundMe as a part of their reunion, to just give to the home to make sure that this place was, a remembrance of even them, having been there and done that and leaving a legacy.
We've had many churches reach out, like Mount Moriah reached out, and they offered tutoring for the boys.
Beautiful.
And, what can we do, give back? And there's other churches, Francis Brown, I believe, just gave a whole bunch of like toiletries and,
yes.
Food items. There's been different churches and HOAs and civic associations that like, hey, we have this stuff, where can we donate it? So people in the community have been giving back. Churches have been calling, what can we do? And it might not be money, but that tutoring helped us out a lot for some of these young men.
Beautiful. I remember there was a church in West Ashley, the Grace Church, and the senior adults there make blankets. And they made blankets for the boys in the home. And when they make their blankets, they pray over their blankets. And so each child that received a blanket from them, it was prayed over. And so those prayers were sent, with those blankets, to the boys in the home. So that is super beautiful. Well, don't go away. We do have a few more things that we want to talk about and share with you. So we're going to be right back after this break. Hey, as a leader, you are a broker of gifts. So whether you are a professional, a business owner, or a ministerial leader, I would love to accompany you in transforming your ordinary staff into an extraordinary team through leadership development, team building, and personal discovery. You will learn the amazing gifts, skills, and talents that each of you have and know how to bring them together in order to do great things. So reach out to me at angeladhenderson.com and let's begin your amazing adventure today. And remember, it's a good time to be you. Welcome back, everyone. Now we are here on this last segment of our interview, and it just seems like time has gone so fast. I've just really enjoyed this time and reminiscing, and this project is so beautiful. But with that being said, we were talking earlier about the house parents. Now, how do you go about like that selection? And if there was anyone in the community that was interested even in getting involved on that level, what do you recommend, and what's the process?
Well, apply.
Okay.
We have an application. So we went out to the different churches and different organizations and explained what Project Home was, and then people applied, and then the board interviewed the parents. The particular parents that we have now, I worked with her for many years, and she's a ranking officer at North Charleston, and she's always given back to the community, her and her husband, and and spiritually,
yes.
And so I knew she was perfect, but she wasn't ready in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when it was opportunity, when the first house parents left, I'm like, it's your time. And she applied, and she said, I'll never look back. She said, this is something, her kids were grown, and she gives back, and she actually, both of the parents fell in love with these boys, and they're still, even though they graduated and moved on, they still keep in touch with the house parents.
So it's kind of like the family that they never had or that they were desperately in need of. And so they come back to mom or dad and just, share the remainder of their lives with them. So it's not once it's over, it's not over,
It's not over. And I just want to say is a lot of these young men, family are still involved.
Good.
We don't take full custody of these young men. Some families just can't afford to house their children.
Yes.
And boys are the hardest because housing females are always easier.
Yes.
And when you get a certain age, you have to go to a homeless shelter, and there's not many spots.
Yes.
So that was another reason why we decided to work with young men
Right.
in the beginning, because there's more of a safety thing that we can get them into a safe home.
Yeah. What about you, Laura?
You know, both of the house parents that we've had, the home is better than what some of us grow up in, you know, where mom and dads are there, you know, one or the other's there. So they've had a great opportunity, and it just makes your heart feel good. You know, we have one that went to Landers. We had one that's going to Charleston Southern, and, you know, one that was highly involved in ROTC who wants to go on into the service. So, you know, that just absolutely helps me at night sleep better. We've been very blessed. You know, I've always heard that anything that you put out there, you always receive back, and I've always believed in the word, and this is it at its finest, and I know that's what we're meant to do. One of the things we want to share is when you know someone, a young man, and they have typically 17, 18-year-olds, still junior, senior in high school, they can get in touch with guidance counselors, or you can go straight to the website. You can also donate on the website. But they need to understand that it is a structured home. You do have a mom and dad, but that it is a great place to be. You know, I don't know if some of them feel a little intimidated or scared or nervous to be in a different place with parents, but we want them to know that this place is there for them, and we'll welcome open-heartedly as long as everything falls into place it needs to.
We want to get them to the next step, and that's how we base it through the family. Just like if we were your mom and dad, we want you to get to the next level. And it is intimidating when they first come in and see, and we do have rules, but then when they get in there and they see the cooking, everybody's cooking together, everybody's doing things together, you could see that their anxiety goes down.
So there's no place like home, right?
There's no place like
So
home.
when did you realize, Kathleen, it was a good time to be you?
You know, just serving God, every time I serve God, it's always a good place.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And doing this Project Home has made it even better.
Love it. How about you, Laura? When was it a good time to be you?
You know, when we, our latest graduate, it just brings tears to my eyes. You know, he's so humble and so grateful, and he wants to serve this country, and with the opportunities that he's had in the last 3 years now, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what it's all about.
Well, how about at the count of 3, we let our audience know it's a good time to be you, okay? 1, 2, 3. It's a good time to be you.
Hey everyone, for more information about Project Home, just go to www.mickeys-house.com, and don't forget to like them on Facebook at Project Home. Remember, it's a good time to be you.